everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Faye Bishop Report, where the culture is news. So apparently everybody's mad at Bruno Mars all of a sudden. I don't know what this is about, but I'm trying to figure out what's going on. What did he do wrong? What did this guy who bothers nobody do? What is it he did so wrong? Now, I know everybody has their opinions about whether or not they like him. I understand that not every musician or every artist is going to be everybody's cup of tea. But I mean, the way his name was legit trending the other day. Actually, it's been trending for the last 2 days. At first, I thought he passed away. It was just like, what happened with Bruno Mars? What's going on? And come to find out, a video was made by someone talking about how he's appropriating Black culture. And it's like, what? Is that what your issue is with him? I'm not understanding. I still don't understand it. Why don't I understand it? Well, number one, there's a difference between culture appropriation and culture appreciation. What does culture appropriation look like? Culture appropriation looks like Miley Cyrus. It looks like Rachel Dolezal. It is basically when someone selects certain aspects of a culture, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Black culture. It could be any culture. But right now we're talking about Black culture, so that's where we're going to go with. They select certain aspects of a culture. They ignore its significance. They ignore its origins. And they just basically use it for sole purpose of personal, professional, and financial gain. They basically treat it like it's a trend versus an actual entity of its own. Rachel Dolezal basically lied about being biracial. It led her to become the president of the NAACP. She wore braids in her hair. She constantly tanned her skin. She lied about her father being Black. She lied about having these common struggles as a biracial woman or a Black woman, or so most thought. And she basically just flat out lied about who she was. And she did it basically to create this identity for herself so she can rise rise to fame in the NAACP organization. She just wanted to make a name for herself. Same thing with Miley Cyrus. What Miley Cyrus wanted to do, she wanted to break out of that whole Hannah Montana identity. So she used twerking, trap music, big earrings, and a ton of rappers to do it. Once white people no longer saw her as Hannah Montana and they just started referring to her as Miley Cyrus, what did she go and do? Oh, I don't want to do that kind of music no more. It degrades women. Now, she knew that before she started doing the music, but she didn't care. She used it. Basically, she latched onto it because it was trendy. Used it. And now she's belittling it. That is culture appropriation. Another shiny example of Black culture appropriation would be Hillary Clinton, who got on camera and stood next to Roland Martin and then she nay-nayed for votes. Went on the Breakfast Club, sat next to Charlamagne, DJ Envy, and Angela Yee, and discussed how she carried hot sauce in her bag. She had hot sauce in her purse. And she did all of that for votes. Since losing the election, she has not stood next to one single Black person. She has not whipped or nay-nayed nothing. She has not visited a single Black church, a single Black school, a single Black nothing. That is what appropriation is. Culture appreciation is what Bruno Mars is doing. This guy has always acknowledged Black music as his central influence. It is what made him want to become a musician and an artist. He has always honored and respected our culture and its practices. Okay? That's what the 24K album was. It is a homage album. It is not an album that he woke up one day and said, let me do this because it's trendy. It's what's making money. This is what people on social media want. This is what people are listening to right now. Let me just go and do that. No, that's not what he's doing. Long before the 24K album was even released, which by the way is his third studio album, not his first, not his second, Bruno Mars was already grandfathered into the music industry. Okay, he's written songs for Adam Levine, Brandy, Sean Kingston, Flo Rida, CeeLo, Adele, Alexandra Burke, Travie McCoy, and so many others. B.O.B., I believe. He was already grandfathered into the industry. He's been working as a musician and a producer and a writer long before he started making songs for himself. So again, I'm not understanding the appropriation part. In this viral video, where the conversation takes place about whether or not Bruno Mars is appropriating Black culture, the nucleus of the conversation seems to be centered around three things: his racial ambiguity, his originality, and the fact that he's won a ton of Grammy Awards this year for his work. In this video, they make comparisons to Prince and Michael Jackson and Charlie Wilson. I saw Aaron Hall's name being brought up, I guess to suggest that he bit the New Jack Swing era. Basically what they were saying is that he's taking music and he chops it up and he basically milkshakes it up and he bit off of it, and this is how he came up with the 24K album. Because I don't know what other album they're talking about or what other music of his they're talking about. It has to be this. What I find very interesting, though, in their argument about his racial ambiguity as well as his originality, which seems to be what defines one appropriating Black culture, is that these very same people complaining about Bruno Mars likely would take no issue with belting out a tune by Tina Marie or singing a song by Sheila E. Just as I'm quite sure that these very same people talking in this video and those who agree with them didn't take an issue with Jennifer Lopez, who, like Bruno, is Puerto Rican, but she sat up on top of cars with a ponytail and a velour suit on, singing about how real she was while sitting next to Ja Rule. But I guess it was good then because she was dating Diddy though, right? See, again, if we're going to talk about culture appropriation as opposed to culture appreciation, then let's bring up everything. Don't cherry pick simply because you like one over the other. Call them all out equally. And if we're going to have a conversation where we're going to call out artists who we feel are appropriating Black culture, then you need to also call out the Black artists who are helping them to do it. Again, if you're going to have a conversation like this, then we really need to talk about everything. And we need to talk about everyone and their contributions to what we feel is a problem. But no one wants to dig that deeply into this matter because to do that means that they would have to call their favorites out. And nobody wants to do that. So what they do is they try to use things like culture appropriation as the cover up. When the real problem is Bruno Mars is winning and your favorites aren't. And that's what you have a problem with. Now, you all know Bruno Mars didn't wake up out of his bed one day and go, "Ooh, Black music is charting again. Let me go and try that." Black music has always charted. It's not something that started charting 2 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, or even 25 or 30 years ago. It has been charting since the dawn of the recording industry. But here's an interesting thing that I found out. About 37 Black artists released R&B albums last year. It could be more, but I counted 37 who released R&B albums last year. Now, if you are all so disappointed and so fed up with artists like Bruno Mars appropriating Black culture and appropriating Black music the way you so state, you would have made sure that all 37 of those artists charted higher than he did last year. But we all know why you didn't do it. It's because you're not going out to support shit. Okay? We don't buy tickets to the shows. We don't attend the shows. We're not buying the albums. We're just picking and choosing whatever little singles here and there we want to purchase. We really don't rush to download or stream anything or anyone unless it's one of the mainstream artists like a Rihanna or a Drake or a Beyonce or a Jay-Z. Other than that, unless a blog or Instagram is pushing it or a hashtag, we don't really look for it. And again, that's a problem. And it's a problem that we're not taking responsibility for. And the only time we want to raise awareness about it is during award season, when someone doesn't get nominated for a damn Grammy or an Oscar. Come on, man. We got to do better than that. If you really, deep down in your spirit want to see black music and your favorite artists or a lot of these unknown artists who aren't getting the exposure get the shine that they should, then you need to start giving a fuck and you need to start demanding it. Without a demand, there can be no supply. Start supporting these people. Start checking for them. Start promoting them. Start beating down the doors of the radio stations and requesting that they get played. If they're not going to play it, you play it. Download the music. Download the singles. Stream the singles. The music industry is vastly different than it was 20 or 30 years ago. So you need to get out of your feelings and learn how to adapt. The surge in fame of an artist like Cardi B, who only 2 short years ago was a virtual nobody, is proof that if we really want to see someone win, we will push for it. So I'm not here for all of this appropriation bullshit. Because I can tell you right now, going after the little guy, which is Bruno Mars, isn't going to help you with your problem. See, the big guy is the corporations. Y'all scared to go after them. So it's easier to blame the little guy, Bruno Mars, because he doesn't really have power like that. Okay? And the way I look at it, he's not stopping nobody else's bag. He's not telling radio stations not to play nobody. He's not hurting nobody. He's out here producing and writing his own music. And he's just an artist on the list, just like everybody else. So if you're sick of him appropriating, you do some damn appropriating by supporting the artists you want to see and beating down the doors of Clear Channel and everybody else to make sure that the world sees them too. I'm Faye Bishop. I'm getting out of here. Chat with y'all later.